Good morning and welcome. Patriot Radio News Hour. I'm Joe Jaquint, CEO of the Patriot Trading Group, and our toll-free number, 800-951-0592. The website at allamericangold.com. And, man, we've made it to Friday. Give yourself a round of applause. You know what? Why not? It's Christmas time. Let's put some eggnog in the coffee. It actually rained here in the valley last night. We'll absolutely take that. I heard about snow in Flagstaff. Yes, it finally showed up. Maybe the ski resorts up there. Of course, resort maybe an overstatement. Maybe open it up. So good news for people that want to take a break and head up north and hit the slopes there. And hopefully it will keep on snowing. Of course, some cold weather starting to hit the country now is going to put natural gas and heating oil prices on the rise as well. But today we got inflation data. We got so many things to go over. Just really, I got a few updates. So I want to remind everybody, because I don't want you to get mad. We're going to have price increases coming on My Kind CBD. Those price increases will happen after the 15th. So that's going to be next week, middle of next week. Place your orders now. We're also raffling off a Cbd Gift Basket. I mean, it's got everything in there. It's even got stuff we're not even selling yet in there. Hundreds and hundreds, probably $500, $600, $700 worth of stuff in the basket. If you when you go to 1360 KHNC and you hit the shopping cart button, you can see the basket. But when you place your CBD orders, if you put raffle in the promo code, the word raffle in the promo code box, you're going to save $5 on your order. Everybody that orders, between now and the 15th, you're automatically entered into winning the basket. I'll announce the winner either on the 16th or the 17th, either way, but you'll have a basket coming. We'll make that announcement. Tahibo Tea, which we have available. I don't have it here in Phoenix. I probably should get some here in Phoenix. But we do have it up there in Colorado. Milan's told us a price increase coming January 1st. I will tell you their price increase very significant. So it's $35 for a 1-pound bag of tea. It's going to be $50 come January 1st. So you got a little more time there to get your orders. I did get confirmed with Jason. We do have tea back in stock at the station, and then Jason told me, by the way, because we brought in 4 cases of tea.
No, well,
Jason's like,
let me give you
we're over halfway through that, right, Jason?
No, I'll give you the update. So we were supposed to get 4 cases. There's a lot of shipping problems going on all over the country. So 3 of our boxes showed up, which means we should have 72 bags. We have 6. The other box hasn't shown up yet, so we're waiting for that other box. So basically, Joe, at the moment we have 6 bags. We are blowing it out faster we can get it. We ordered another 2 boxes quickly because the shipping took a little longer, but we have stock. When that 4th box comes in, we'll have a little more. But people are buying it, 8 bags at a time.
Wow. Yeah, wow. Well, I don't blame them. I can understand that as well. So those are the True Blood coins. Man, are they flying out the door. So here's the update right now. We've got about 200 left. That's it. We capped it. We decided, we're not going to mess with it. We're capping it at 500 coins. We're right. I want to say we're at 297. So we got, 203 of them left. And this is, if you haven't seen them, these things are incredible. Daniel Carr, the Moonlight Mint. One of the big things is he has the operation of an actual U.S. mint machine, and there's a huge story behind it. The Denver Mint, they used to mint a lot of commemorative stuff, and that's what this particular machine was built for. So this is the highest quality of the highest quality. When they decommissioned it, they tore this thing down. Yep. And it sat in a warehouse and they did this in '01. They decommissioned it in '01. It sat in pieces in a warehouse for 6 years when Daniel Carr bought it. The Mint never envisioned anybody actually trying to put it back together.
They didn't think it could be done. They thought
right,
the only reason they gave it up.
Be scrapped.
Yeah, it's like this thing. Their guys couldn't fix it. No one's going to fix it. And then Dan Carr fixed it.
And he fixed it. So guess what? The Mint no longer does. They don't sell these machines anywhere. And that's why we got the highest quality when you're dealing. That's why Daniel's Carr stuff gets graded. He's the Mint picks his artwork all the time to do stuff. He's a bunch of the state quarters and other things they use his designs for. And plus, remember, because of the issue with silver, we said the heck with it. We want the best possible. We actually used Silver Eagles to do it. So if you go to allamericangold.com, go to the shopping cart button, you'll see what we'll call the head side. And it's the radio tower and 1360 and all that. But if you click on it, you'll see the reverse. And that's really the cool part. It's got Fake News Friday on it. It's got Pure Bloods in the middle. It's got the mask and the syringe with the line through it. I mean, it's really, really awesome. Plus, all of that helps the radio station as well. Check them out. They're $75 and they're almost gone. 800-951-0592. When we get back, I'm going to tell you how hot the inflation's getting. 800-951-0592. Gold's up a 10 spot here, 1784, 1785. Silver's up 15 cents as well, $22.12. We got the inflation data out. And as expected, another huge jump month for month. So last month they said 6.2%. Today they came out and said it's now 6.8% for November. And you can see, Jason, the speed of this thing and how we're making big jumps here on the month-over-month numbers. And again, so now let's call it. They're admitting to 7%. What happened to 2%? Where's the emergency meeting? Where's the upper? Matter of fact, I even watched, which I hardly ever do anymore, but I watched the Idiot Box when I got into work this morning. I waited for the number to come out. And then CNBC, you can watch, the video clip after the fact. And they had Rick Santelli and a bunch of other guys in the boxes. And Jason, it was so disgusting listening to it was a little hotter than expected, but it was pretty close. And it's not that bad. Right? No, it's hot, but it's not that bad, and everything's wonderful. And they talked about how bond yields really aren't rising, and again, out of touch with reality. And this is what Wall Street does. They get way out of touch with reality, and that's another one of those leading bubble indicators, Jason, when the guys on TV, they haven't figured it out yet. You know what I'm saying? Yeah,
it kind of reminds me of the scene in Independence Day, right before the aliens start blowing everything up. There's the group of people on the rooftop in New York, and they're all having the signs, they're all welcome to Earth, and they're all happy, and everything's great. And then this big beam of light, just before the big beam of light hits them, at that last moment, they're like, oh, wait a minute, this isn't good. And then and they get wiped out. I think that's what it is. There's denial until the last moment, Joe.
Well, I want to point this out. So this is that number, that 6.8% number. That is the highest number since 1982. So think about, in 1982, the inflation was coming down. Volcker had crushed it, and it was coming down from those double-digit numbers. But still, when you think about it, wait a minute, you're saying this is the worst number in almost 40 years, and it's okay? I mean, right now, you would think we have to be in the middle of a rate hiking cycle. Heck, we haven't even started the cycle. And this is the problem. They're so far behind, and anybody with an IQ higher than room temperature is going to figure it out. This number is going to get a whole lot worse before it gets better. And I think the Federal Reserve, it's not a little behind the curve, Jason. It is dangerously behind the curve. It was even Arthur Burns, who was the head of the Federal Reserve while inflation was going, they were at least trying to fight it in the 70s. We're not even trying yet, Jason, and they're saying it's already one of the worst numbers that they've seen in 40 years.
Right, Joe, and I really, really do believe that they're going to try to inflate ourselves into this new money system. When the inflation happened in the 1970s, you talk about it, all the time. And a lot of gold guys do. Nixon taking us off the gold standard, detaching gold from the dollar in 1971 because he had to. It's not a coincidence that just a scant few years later the inflation came roaring in because these other countries were wanting their gold back, so they didn't want dollars. And what was their brilliant plan? And it was kind of brilliant. They got Saudi Arabia and then other oil producing nations to, energy is pretty important, and you have to use dollars to buy oil from some of the biggest oil nations on earth. And that was how they kind of saved it. That's how they sort of fixed the system from completely blowing up. I don't see another petrodollar saving this system, Joe.
Well, what's so funny is that was the one thing they did talk about. Because they're talking about oil and the underinvestment. Listen, I promise you this. Oil's going well above 100. Well above. And this is part of the problem. And again, you go back to the 70s and you think about, oil inflation was starting to run, and then all of a sudden oil explodes, right? And it just kind of turns into this huge mess. It's not a total carbon copy, but very, very similar here. And, they got oil down to 72. That believe me when I tell you, a very short-lived thing. And here's the other thing. Let me give you some details in this. So they admitted in this report that used vehicle prices are rising again, right? So think about how many times Jay Powell has put his foot in the mouth. First there was lumber prices. Remember, the second lumber fell, they started bragging. Of course, lumber's back up. Used car prices, he bragged about that back up. But the big lie in all of this still is the shelter story. So they did agree that shelter went up again. Here's where they're at in this number, 3.4%. Now, of course, yesterday I just told you that everybody agrees that anybody who signs a new lease anywhere in the country, you're looking at a 14% increase. Matter of fact, New York City just said rents are up 28%. Right? And so, when you start to get a flavor, I told you yesterday, Phoenix, by the way, leads the country. And of course, now New York is saying, hey, we're just like Phoenix at 28%. But they're at 3.2. If they just went with what everybody knows is the average, 14, that CPI number of 6.8 would be north of 12. So that's really how bad it really is when you think about it. It's actually worse than the 70s. Because at least in the 70s, they actually tracked inflation.
And we're just getting started, Joe. We're just getting started. Let me add one other thing. Is the new petrodollar that helped solve their issues, is it going to be the new Green Deal? Hey, we're going to get out of oil. It's all this, we got a global warming, the climate change. Everyone needs to buy into the new Green Deal with dollars, or the new digital dollar.
Yeah, and I'm going to say this right now. I think this is maybe that is really the big plan here. We want oil to be $200.
Yep.
Because that way,
destroy it.
When we say we got to go till electric, people are like, yeah. I kid you not. I hope you're getting ready. I hope you're taking care of business. You better have your gold and your silver put away, and you better make sure you don't have that money in the bank. That's all I'm telling you, because this is something where, and I think Jason and I discussed it yesterday, we think they're going to blink. Right? They're going to speed up taper, right? They're going to raise rates a few times. Wall Street's going to hemorrhage a little bit, and they're going to fold, and that's when the real pain's going to set in. And I just don't know how you put the genie back in the bottle after that, because when we sit there and we look at wages are going up, and here's the problem. It's not enough. Now, I told you yesterday, all you older folks out there, congratulations. Hey, we've got a new way that we're going to do COLA adjustments, because Social Security can't handle it. We can't handle it. The government can't handle it. We've got to figure out how to screw you even more. And Jason, I think we're looking at a period here of I think it's going to be very interesting. It's probably going to be a 2 to 3 year period where we have this massive inflation followed by a huge crash in a digital currency. I think they just, I don't think they're ready. They need more time. That's what to your point, why I think they're not going to actually do the right thing. They're not ready.
I agree with the time frame. I also think, Joe, going back to 1971, one of the reasons that emergency, we got to detach gold from the dollar, was not just because America was running out of gold, because all these countries were repatriating gold. They had to stop the emergency feel that you had to run to gold. That's what they really did with Nixon. They wanted to stop the feeling that everyone had this emergency need to go get their gold, because that was going to hurt their system. We're running into that right now. Hey, gold just sitting there doing nothing, and silver, it's not even half of its all-time highs. No one's going to that. There's really no emergency, and the prices are being manipulated. But at some point, Joe, just like you said, taper comes to an end, and they start buying again, and things go kind of wacky. The run to gold will happen. They won't be able to control it. You know, they'll try to buffer it and slow it down, but at some point, it's going to run. You can't keep a commodity down. It's a God-created thing, not a man-created thing.
Yeah, and really when you think about it, listen, the run to gold's already happened. And this is, again, we go back, and why do we go back to the 70s? Because it's the last time we saw this stuff. And again, when they strip out food and energy, which they like to do, what they call the core number, 4.9%. That's the highest since 1991, which is the highest since they actually changed how they did the math. If they hadn't changed how we did the math, the numbers we saw today, both the headline, highest since 1982, the core, the highest since 1991, both of them would have been the highest that we've seen since the 70s. And remember what happened, to Jason's point. Countries were already running to gold before Nixon took that away, right, when Nixon closed the gold window. And it wasn't until after the big inflation came that everybody else started running to gold. Think about what we've gotten here. We've got record central bank gold purchases. We've got countries that never bought gold a day in their life buying it. Countries that we haven't bought gold in 20 years. We haven't bought gold in 30 years buying it. Everybody's been repatriating it. We know all those stories. And again, this is just another similar thing when you look at and compare, which is all you can do is go back through history. Because, people, you hear it all the time, hey, well, history repeats itself over and over and over again. It's never the same. But think about what we've got in similarities. Weak Fed governor, check. Right? Jay Powell, weak. Arthur Burns, weak. Weak president. When did inflation really come unhinged? Right? Jimmy Carter.
Yep.
Man, is Joe Biden Jimmy Carter or what? I mean, this is why I think in this term we're going to see. And again, where's the president this morning? If Trump was in office, he would have been hammering Jay Powell this morning. after these inflation numbers? Is Joe Biden even woke up yet? I don't know. Maybe he's down for his nap. Where is the guy?
He's doing what he's supposed to do, Joe. He's taking his marching orders and staying out of this thing.
So, in any event, we got a great special for you today. We'll get to that after the break. But the inflation numbers, again, 6.8%, the highest since 1982. And remember, that started to come down from the Volcker core at the highest since 1991 at 4.9%. And again, all just games, because the biggest thing that they're lying the most about just happens to be where we live, right? Houses have never cost, I don't care if you're buying a home, renting a home, renting an apartment, buying a condo, renting a condo. 3.2% is absolutely insulting. Well, I guess they said 3.4, 3.5. Still, absolute insult. But hey, why tell people the truth when you're not ready for the bubble to be burst yet? Patriot Radio News Hour. We'll be back right after the break. 800-951-0592. Patriot Radio News Hour. Joe Jaquint, Jason Walker. Gold's up 10.5 here, 1787. Silver's up 20, 22.14 right now. Today, silver is it's still, it boggles my mind. I mean, there's nothing out there to be bought. But neither here nor there on the gold side today. It's a great opportunity. We had a seller emerge in the marketplace yesterday that allowed us to make a big buy here. I've got about 125 $20 gold pieces. I'm going to say they're all Liberties, because I don't know if some of them may be Saints, but this is stuff that we handled. This was back before I was even at Patriot, so this is stuff from the 90s. 2065 if you buy 20 or more. 2050 at 800-951-0592. And that, Jason, that may be the lowest since COVID.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, how many times, and gold hit its all-time high in August of 2020. And then it came back a little bit, and it's kind of been hanging out here in 2021. So to get gold at the prices that we're offering it's screaming at people like Brian and I did in 2018, 2019 when we first joined Patriot Trading, that this is a good old days price. There's these little levels historically that it just kind of sits there. It should just slowly be going up all the time, but it'll sit there sometimes, or maybe even drops. And people should just be loading up. It's screaming at you to buy.
It's not going to go up in a straight line year after year after year. This is the end of the gold consolidation, and gold is setting it up. You know what's happening. We all know what's happening out there. You can see it when you get gas. You see it when you go to the grocery store. You see it when you talk about think about how many places close early now. My wife, she's got a problem with Taco Bell. You know, she really does. I don't know. I'm not a fan, but either way, when I'm not around, she'll hit the Taco Bell. She was at Taco Bell last week, and Jason, it was like 7:30. They were closed.
Taco
They
Bell
closed at 7 because they don't have help.
Wow.
Listen,
Taco Bell's one of those places where you cruise through at night and get something to eat late.
Right. Well, they don't have the help, and again, it varies. Hey, this restaurant doesn't have help; it closes early. This one does, maybe it does. But I'm telling you right now, J.P. Morgan this morning, oil's going $50, maybe $100 higher. They put their average oil price $125. Jason, I told you a month ago about the bets to 200. These are, and it's not just oil. I'm telling you, it's all of these commodities. It's the base metals. There's not enough money being spent. And again, why? Well, because mining's dirty. All the base metals, right? Copper's barely, believe me, and at any other point in history, really expensive. It's taking a rest. Gold and silver taking a rest. All of these things. Look at lumber prices now. Listen, lumber, $200 board foot lumber is gone. It's gone. Right? Oil is going to be at a different level. Your electric bills, your heating bills, all these other things are going to be at levels no one thought. It's one thing to say gas is $5 a gallon in California or $6 a gallon in California. Wait till it's $5 and $6 in Arizona and Colorado, because that's what's coming. Wages. You think we have a hard time finding workers now? Listen, people are not going to work, especially, let's face it, can we call a spade here? Everybody in America has just gotten downright rude. Am I right? I mean, everyone's just gotten downright rude.
There's a lot
They're like, I'm not taking this bull crap.
There's a lot of stress going on, Joe.
Right? Put it together. I want you to remember what gold did in the 70s. It went from $42 to $800. Right? You're talking 20 times. I mean, I don't know that. I hope it doesn't do that now. But, 20 times, you'd be like 35,000. And really, that's not that outrageous. Right now, at the national debt, to get back to where we were before we let the bankers take charge, with a $29 trillion deficit, gold needs to be 21,000. But guess what? We don't have a $29 trillion deficit. The Fed's got another $9 trillion. Right? So really, and let's face it, let's just fast forward 1 month from now. It's going to be $40 trillion. So now all of a sudden, well, at 30 trillion, it's 21. Well, at 40, what is that, 28? 29, right? All of a sudden, 35,000 doesn't seem that unreasonable, Jason.
No, it doesn't. And it won't take very long to get to that level. We talk about 9/11. Well, that was 20 years ago. For a lot of people, that's not very, it seems like it was just a decade ago or 12, 15 years. It's 20 years ago. And you look at gold prices around 9/11, Joe, and it was, you could buy a $20 Liberty at, what was it, like $250, $350 back then. And now with the gold kind of lingering in 2021, we still have to sell them for over $2,000 each. So yeah, it won't take very long.
It's a great point. Yeah, a $20 gold piece, 9/11. Yeah, you're probably looking $350.
Yep.
That was probably what it was.
So what's it going to be in 2030, Joe? What's it going to be in 2030? $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $10,000, $15,000. If you look at the percentage of a $350 coin to a $2,000 coin, which in 2011 we had $2,000 gold. That's like 8 years. So we're about 8 years away from 2030. You could be looking at, $20,000 gold. Especially with what's going on with inflation.
800-951-0592. $20 gold pieces, 1 through 19, 2065. 20 or more at 2050. And I think that's been about where we've gotten to. I think at one point, I want to say one day when gold got to like 1740, we were right at this level here. But that's about as low as it's been. Pick them up here, 800-951-0592. Patriot Radio News Hour. We'll be back after the break. It's the sales spectacular today. Inflation red hot and getting hotter. U.S. $20 gold pieces, 2065, 20 or more at 2050. Our pure blood KHNC collectible coins, $75. We've got less than 200 now, less than 200 remaining on those at 800-951-0592. How about this? Listen, this is America today. L.A., we're telling people, don't visit because we don't think we can keep you safe right now. And that's just sad to say. They're said that city crime is rising and that police say they are unable to guarantee people's safety. How did we get here? They say that the ACLU advocated for Proposition 47, which changed the sentencing guidelines. Well, listen, the ACLU, they can proposition all they want, right? We put people in power, and listen, it all sounds great, right? Oh, yeah, it's just, they're unfair to all the poor people out there, and if they shouldn't be prosecuting all of these crimes, and now all of a sudden it's everywhere. Here's what they're saying in L.A. Right now, you can literally go out and do whatever you want. Commit crimes and all kinds. You'll be out faster than the officer can complete the report, and that's a fact. And this is everywhere, Jason.
It's everywhere, Joe. It's everywhere. I mean, I'm a little distracted looking at all this stuff. I had some phone calls, which I'll talk to you about. But man, how much more do we have to talk about it before people figure it out? But we're just one guy, a couple of guys on the radio in Colorado and Arizona, essentially, to just doing our best to educate people on how things are actually working, Joe.
Right, and think about this. We talk about crime, but when do you have the police department of any city saying, hey, listen, don't come here.
Yeah, don't come here.
Don't come here. We can't keep you safe. Because they're robbing everybody. And think about this. How about this one? The federal government. Now, we've been on emergency measures for, since September. Saying that they're going to run a $193 billion budget deficit for the month of November. And again, that's not paying for everything, right? Right now they're not putting money into the pensions and they're having all these, accounting tricks to keep the government over, and still $200 billion. You know what it was? Here's the sad part, is November of 2020, which you thought would have been higher, it was only $145 billion. They're saying that the U.S. budget deficit, which was $2.8 to $2.9 trillion in 2021, the second highest on record. And they're saying that the federal government continues to deal with trillion-dollar deficits with no end in sight. And again, I think everyone's hoping that maybe this 2022, maybe we can get at least a little bit of a reprieve from budget deficits. But that would all change if the Fed actually would fight inflation, Jason.
Right, and aren't they getting ready for having to do something about the debt ceiling here pretty soon? Why do I feel like?
Well, I think they've got it set up. I think right before the 15th, they're going to raise it. And by raising it, they're not actually doing what they need to do. They're going to keep the emergency measures going, but I think they're going to change the date. Right now, the date I'm hearing is sometime in February.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Oh boy, February. Yeah. We'll see. One way that they could actually change this is they could default. Now, but that would say that the Fed actually failed at what they do. So I don't think they can do debt default if the Fed has too big of an ego. But we could go bankrupt. We did it in 1933. We could always do it again.
I'm going to tell you this. This is how bad. You know what? And I know I'm kind of jumping all over the place, but there's so many things coming at me. We talk about, oil, obviously, because it's so important. but all the underinvestment that's happened and really all the money they've created, people have no idea. There's money everywhere right now. These shortages haven't stopped. I know they moved the boats farther off the coast of California. Guess what? Somebody actually did a real, at least they tried to do an accurate count. It's back up to 96 cargo ships sitting out at sea somewhere, right? It's not stopping. How about this? I didn't even know this was a thing. Canada says that they are going to release from their strategic reserve maple syrup. Yep. I didn't even know that was such a thing, but apparently there's a big maple syrup shortage, Jason. And Canada, who is the OPEC of syrup, says that it's going to be releasing maple syrup from its reserves to try to help with pricing.
Joe, with prepping, that's a shelf stable sugar, and so there's probably a lot of extra buying on top of all the other problems. But there's probably I know I got a little put away just in case in our pantry. So,
well, you bring up a great point. That's a huge thing. Everybody out there, and rightfully so, you need to stock up because you just don't know when and what is going to be available. 800-951-0592. Patriot Radio News Hour. Final segment coming up. 800-951-0592. Yeah, you better take a little more eggnog because remember Alan Greenspan's productivity miracle, right? Which was, hey, we're going to get less workers to do the same amount of work, right? Because, we've robots and machines and all that.
Yep.
Apparently, the productivity miracle. It's just another sign of the bubble getting ready to break here. They said that U.S. market productivity. This was a number that it judges, how much you're making, right? How many hours you're working, and how much stuff did you produce. And here's what they said. Unit labor cost climbed at an annual rate of 9.6% in the third quarter. This is the worst number since the 60s. What came after the 60s? Oh, that's right, the 70s. They said it was a 3% increase in hourly compensation. See how far behind they are? And Jason, here was the bad part. A 5.2% decrease in worker productivity, which simply means, hey, you paid people more, and they only produce the same amount of stuff or even less stuff for more pay.
That's right, Joe. I mean, what were European countries trying to do in the 60s? They were trying to repatriate their gold, and then just like you said, then the 70s. It's not a mystery. The Vietnam War started in the 60s and went into the early 70s. That's a way for central banks and countries to grow a Ponzi scheme. They didn't have the petrodollar, so they had a war. The war came to an end. The petrodollar showed up. There's always an economic tool that these elitists are putting together, Joe.
And again, this is going to start showing up on Wall Street, right? We're going to start seeing right now the companies like, no, the margins are okay because they've been raising prices, but workers aren't coming, right? So pricing, they're gonna have to pay more and more and more, and eventually starts eating away at the margins.
Yep.
It's going to be again, we tell the story all the time. You go to the store, the gallon of milk's $4. The guy goes to reorder, and they charge him $5. So he raises the price to $6. He goes to reorder, they charge him $7. He raises it to $9. He goes to reorder, they charge him $11, right? This is exactly what we're seeing, and it's playing out all over the place. On top of the worst underinvesting in mining, in oil, natural gas. It doesn't matter. Copper, steel, gold, silver, you name it. All of this is going to start playing out here and really setting the table. We think 6.8% is bad. You haven't seen anything yet. But again, the Federal Reserve making us look like idiots. Put your money in the bank. They give you nothing. Well, maybe if you're lucky, you get, I don't know, a couple tenths of a percent. But they give you nothing. And then come out and tell you, by the way, your money's worth 7% less, which we know they're lying about. Really, it's probably 12% less. Right? And again, and I'm telling you, it's going to get worse, even worse from here. J.P. Morgan, 125 barrel in oil for oil in 2022, 150 for 2023. I mean, just do the math here. 800-951-0592, $20 Liberties, 2065, 20 or more at 2050. God bless everybody. Have a great weekend. Patriot Radio News Hour will be back on Monday.